What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we are going to be taking a look at the most used PvE weapon in all of Destiny 2. And guys, it's the most used by an absolute mile. So, does this weapon deserve its #1 spot, or is it a bit overrated? And if you are someone using it, which is pretty likely, are you using the most optimal role? Well, let's get started. So, first of all, this data is coming from Destiny 2 Tracker. We are sorting by PvE usage rate, and before we get to the #1, let's look at its competition. So in this screenshot here, these are the things that fall behind the #1 spot. So you can see at the bottom of the screenshot, in like the #7 position, is the no hesitation. This auto rifle is outright broken. If you have the physics perk and you're shooting your teammate, neither of you can die. Like, it is crazy the amount of healing you get. It's used in one of the most popular Warlock builds in the game. Like, it is a crazy weapon. And then above that is the Still Hunt. Again, literally broken, the amount of DPS you can do with the Still Hunt, and a Hunter with the Celestial Nighthawk, which buffs the Still Hunt damage to the moon. Like, that is the #1 weapon to use when DPSing the Witness, the final boss of the new raid. And it's way down on the list. After that, the Pro Memoria, which is a very good machine gun, but I'm still surprised to see it this high. We have the Indebted Kindness, which is god tier. Again, it deserves to be even higher, frankly. Then you have the Graviton Lance and the Sunshot. Both of those exotics are just some of the easiest to get and the most effective exotic primaries in the entire game. Both of those are insane right now. And the reason I wanted to go over those alternative weapons and talk about how good they are is because it's going to make the usage rate you're about to see even more shocking. Again, all of these weapons are some of the best PvE weapons in the game, and the usage rate is going up by a pretty uniform degree until we get to the #1 position, which is the Call Legendary Strand Sidearm. Look at that usage rate, 9.47%. That is nearly 3 times more than the Sunshot in second place. And that is absolutely crazy. I mean, we're always going to have a most used weapon for PvE, but it's not usually used more than the second, third, and fourth choice all combined like we have right here. That is so crazy. Now, why does the Call see so much play? Well, there's 2 reasons. Reason #1, it's a rocket-assisted frame sidearm, so it's actually a special weapon, and rocket-assisted frame sidearms are incredibly overtuned right now. Like, they are just so darn powerful. The only other rocket-assisted frame sidearm in the game is the Indebted Kindness, which is also on this list for the most used weapons. Like, it is another absolute god tier weapon. Rocket-assisted sidearms are still an incredibly new weapon archetype. Bungie has some work to figure out the balancing, frankly, because they're kind of like the perfect special weapon. They do a great amount of damage. You can one-shot red bars, and often with the splash damage, you can kill more than one red bar with a single shot, and they can also take down yellow bars no problem. On top of that, they are incredibly ammo efficient. You have ammo for days, and so often when people are running double special, they'll include a rocket sidearm. However, as we mentioned earlier, there's another rocket sidearm in the mix, the Indebted Kindness. Is the Call really so much better that it deserves 3 times the usage rate? Well, importantly, the Call and the Kindness are in different equip slots. Because the Call is a strand, it's going to go in your kinetic slot, and because the Kindness is arc, it's going to go in your energy slot. So often, whatever one of those 2 weapons you use depends on the other weapons you also want to use. However, I think the Call versus the Kindness in a vacuum, the Kindness is better, in my opinion. That might be crazy to say, but Volt Shot is unbelievably good, guys. Being able to constantly kill, reload, and then jolt all these enemies in a massive group. Like, your rocket sidearm is already so good at ad clearing. You add Volt Shot on top of that, it's unbelievable. And not to mention the power of taking down yellow bars. Jolting an enemy means that that enemy will take additional damage. So the Indebted Kindness, once it jolts a yellow bar, it just cleans it up. Oh, and while you're shooting that yellow bar, it's going to chain lightning to other nearby. It's incredible. So why is the call see so much more play? Even if you disagree with me, shouldn't they be closer? Well, here comes reason number 2. It's because the call is incredibly easy to acquire compared to the Indebted Kindness. The Indebted Kindness drops as a randomly rolled weapon from the Warlord's Ruin dungeon. So you need to actually buy the dungeon pass associated with that dungeon to be able to get the weapon, and then you gotta go in and luckily get a good roll. Whereas the call, that drops from the Pale Heart. You can go and spend your Pale Heart engrams on call after call after call, guarantee be farming the crap out of that weapon. Oh, and on top of that, it's just going to be craftable. So even if you don't luckily get the roll you want or a serviceable roll, eventually you're going to unlock enough patterns that you just make the exact weapon you want. And so I think how easy it is to get a good call compared to a good Indebted Kindness is another huge reason we're seeing the call so high on this list. The real tail of the tape here, the real story is how insane rocket sidearms are, that the harder one to get is still so high on this list, and the easy one to get is just number 1 by a mile, right? Now, if you are crafting a call, what god roll should you actually be trying to get? Now, in that first column, we have a lot of great choices. I mean, Subsistence is amazing, a Strategist for the ability regen, Slice for the strand synergies, but honestly, the most powerful perk here is going to be Demolitionist. I mean, getting grenade ability for getting kills with one of the easiest killing weapons in the game is nuts. Demolitionist is so good, especially with Prismatic able to spam grenades non-stop. However, the most consistent perk here is going to be Lead from Gold. Like I said, the ammo economy for these special sidearms is so fantastic. If you are using double special, you have to have Lead from Gold. You're just going to get so much more ammo for this thing. You can basically use it like a primary. Now, in the second column, a lot of people go with Vorpal Weapon. Now, this is going to be, again, very consistent. It will always trigger when you shoot those more powerful enemies. But I think it might be a bit of a bait. The maximum you're able to do with a special is an extra 15%, whereas One for All is a 35% damage boost. Now, yes, it's going to take a little bit more to set up, but I mean, what was everyone going for the Midnight Coup? Well, a lot of people were going for One for All because an explosive hand cannon can trigger One for All in one shot. Well, a rocket sidearm can do the exact same thing. One single shot into red bars, and you'll often trigger One for All just with that, because remember, you don't need kills, you just need to touch enemies with the explosive damage. So honestly, you're going to trigger One for All a ton, and that is a much more sizable damage increase. Now, Desperate Measures, Adrenaline Junkie will also increase the damage, so will Multi-Kill Clip, and so will Golden Tricorn. If you are actually using this in a strand build, well, if you get like a strand grenade kill with this thing, oh my goodness, you're going to get a 50% damage boost with Golden Tricorn. So a lot of great options, honestly, and even Hatchling, again, for strand synergies. If you're using this in a dedicated strand build that wants hatchlings, you almost cannot go wrong. Every single perk here in the second column does something. That's another reason why so many people are using the call. Like, if I put on Lead from Gold Vorpal, I now have a great anti-champion weapon for solo lost sectors, for nightfalls. I mean, sidearms can stun unstopped champions right now. If I have, Lead from Gold One for All or even Demo One for All, this is, I think, the best general purpose role. You're doing all types of content. This is always going to be good. You can even go with, again, Slice plus Hatchling. This is a much more dedicated, or even, Demolitionist plus Hatchling, much more dedicated strand-based weapon. I'm using this to spawn threadlings to get those strand synergies. There's so many different directions you can take this gun in, and frankly, all of those directions is going to be fantastic. All of those directions are great, and everyone should try to get their hands on a call, craft it, and really just customize it the way you want. Customize it for what you're using it for, because you can always change the perks later. Just maybe don't make a masterwork like I just did, because then it's a little hard to change. So overall, does the call deserve its #1 spot? Well, honestly, yeah. For how good it is, combined with how easy it is to acquire, you can craft the god roll you want. There's several viable god rolls. The call is just a phenomenal weapon. But I want to end with this. Again, I think the real story is how good these rocket sidearms are. and there's apparently another one arriving in Act 2, a solar rocket sidearm that can get heal clip plus incandescent. So if you think the call is good, oh my goodness, you want to be around for Act 2, which starts on July 16th. Guys, that is going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus, that is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.